So what's good, TMG fam? It's your boy Ellen. I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute. Now, if NASA officials just announced the moon shifted and it's going to cause record flooding on Earth, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? Then, do you think they would even tell us? Oh yeah. I'm on that type of time these days, bro, because I be feeling like, I don't know, man. They give us what they want us to know, and I don't even know if they would tell us, bro. Or by the time they tell us, like we could do something anyway, it'd probably be the day of. Oh, this just in, we just heard, we just got data back showing that the moon is extremely shifting right now, and it's about to cause massive flooding. Grab your loved ones, hug your loved ones. This could be it. And I think that'll be the message. That'll be all we get, and then it'll be over. We get the little sound on the TV, and then the TV would just go blank. That's it. But anyway, man, I want to dive deep into this because I've seen a couple videos pop up on this topic. So I want to get different perspectives on it and see, you know what I mean, what could go on with the moon that causes so much mass flooding on Earth. All right. We touched on this in school a little bit, but not as much. So I want to delve in a little bit deeper. All right. So we're going to check this out. If you're new, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. Join the family. And let's see.
Recently, the US National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration have said that every coast in the US is going to be hit by floods in the coming years.
Every coast?
A new study from NASA and the university...
Whoa. Did he say every coast in the US? For some of us who live by the coast, did he say every coast? Let me back that up a little bit.
And Atmospheric Administration. Recently, the US National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration have said that every coast in the US is going to be hit by floods in the coming years. A new study from NASA and the University of Hawaii has revealed that this process may be hitting us sooner than expected, and this is because of changes in the moon's orbit, with the researchers saying that the data has shown them that these floods would be the biggest seen across the US, costing hundreds of billions of dollars in damage. This moon wobble, as it's being called by scientists, is expected.
Remember New York flooded this past year? And it was like, yo, we've never seen flooding like this in New York area, and this area is start making a little bit more sense now, don't it? Unexplained flooding. He could be on to something.
This moon wobble, as it's being called by scientists, is expected to happen in 2030. And this lined up with maps created by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. These sea level rise scenarios coincide with the moon's wobble. NASA officials said that although this sounds like a brand new phenomena, they reported that it's actually a natural occurrence, and that some of the early recordings we have of this wobble date back to 1728.
Really?
NASA said the following: in half of the moon's 18.6-year cycle, Earth's regular daily tides are suppressed. High tides are lower than normal, and low tides are higher than normal. In the other half of the cycle, tides are amplified. Higher tides get higher, and lower tides get lower. Global sea level rise pushes high tides in only one direction, higher. So half of the 18.6-year lunar cycle counteracts the effects of sea level rise on high tides, and the other half increases the effect. End quote. Although this is a natural occurrence, NASA said these floods will have big impacts on coastal regions around the US, saying that simulations have shown them that these floods won't just be bigger, but that they will happen much more often. Rather worryingly, NASA said that due to certain alignments, these floods would actually happen on a daily basis. NASA Administrator Bill Nelson said the following: low-lying areas near sea level are increasingly at risk and will suffer due to the increased flooding, and it will...
So it's no okay, we survived this flood. It didn't hit us. We're good. No, it's wake up and worry about it tomorrow, you're saying? So all of these coastal, oh my gosh, man. And I think about that because some of y'all may have relatives in some of these areas. I think about Savannah. My dad lives in Savannah. So now I have to, and you know how it is when you're a little bit older and you're set in your ways and ain't too much moving you. You know what I mean? You set in your ways, you done survived this long. Them talking about a flooding really ain't convincing you. So now I'm gonna have to do some convincing to let him know, okay, be prepared in the event of this. And then I'm gonna have to present facts and different things to show him that this could potentially be on the rise. But man, I already know. Why did I do that? I already know it's going to take some convincing with him.
Are increasingly at risk and will suffer due to the increased flooding, and it will only get worse.
Wow.
The combination of the moon's gravitational pull, rising sea levels and climate change will continue to worsen coastal flooding, and this is across our coastlines in the world. End quote. It's estimated that within the next 100 years, over 100 million people living on coastlines across the world will have to move, as these areas will become completely or partially submerged by changing water levels. As highlighted by the researchers who worked on the data, they said that the real danger here isn't so much the volume, but the frequency in which these floods will hit the coastal regions. The sad thing is there's not really much we can do if this starts to happen. We can try and prevent floods by using barriers, but as mentioned by the researchers, if a business is operating in an area that's getting hit by daily floods, it will eventually become submerged. People will no longer be able to work and live in the surrounding area, and that business may end up firing employees. They said this could be a trend that many will experience across the United States.
Think about how that is going to affect a lot of people, man. We're already talking about when the pandemic happened and all the small businesses that suffered. You know what I mean? Imagine flooding coming through on a daily or ever so often basis, that now your business is just getting hammered, and now you got to uproot and leave everything you've established and created for your family. Imagine that. And then at the same time, we've had this conversation before about thinking it's safe on the coast because you're trying to get as far away from things like Yellowstone. Now they pushing you inward, and now you're getting away from the flood, but now you got to think about things like Yellowstone erupting and then having to deal with that because you're so close to it. It's like, man, darn if we do, darn if we don't at this point.
They said this could be a trend that many will experience across the United States, and as of right now we're going to find it extremely difficult to combat these extreme floods. On July 14, 2021, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration said the following on their website. Coastal communities across the US saw a record-setting high tide flooding last year, forcing residents to deal with flooded shorelines, streets and basements, a trend that is expected to continue into 2022 and beyond without improved flood defences. High waters are affecting coastal economies and crucial infrastructure like waste and storm systems and roads. The report's 2021 State of High Tide Flooding and Annual Outlook reports changes in high tide flooding from May 2020 to April 2021. This provides a flooding outlook for these locations through April 2022, as well as projections for the next several decades. High tide flooding, often referred to as nuisance or sunny day flooding, is increasingly common due to years of sea level rise. It occurs when tides reach anywhere from 1.75 to 2 feet above the daily average, and starts spilling onto streets or bubbling up from storm drains.
Now, what y'all automatically look at this and think of? You ever watch the movie Crawl? Exactly. First thing pop in my mind is that movie, and okay, where's the gators? Where are the gators? What do you think the tide gonna bring in different things, right? But my main concern is the gators.
And start spilling onto streets or bubbling up from storm drains. As sea level rise continues, damaging floods that decades ago happened only during a storm are now happening more regularly, such as during a full moon tide, or with a change in prevailing winds or currents. Nicole LeBoeuf, director of NOAA's National Ocean Service, said the following: NOAA's tide gauges show that 80% of locations where we collect data along the southeast Atlantic and Gulf Coast are seeing an acceleration in the number of flood days. High tide flooding disrupts people's lives when they can't get to and from work.
It's a fact.
They have to repeatedly deal with flooded basements.
That's
NOAA
a
is
fact.
committed.
That's a fact. My cousins when them was down in Orlando this year when the flood hit, that storm hit, and they had never been hit before in the storms, and they've been down in Florida for years, and they've always escaped. Well, it decided to hit them this year and hit them with the flood, and they're just now getting settled into their new place. They lost vehicle, you know what I mean? The inside of their home, super damaged, worried about mold, different things like that. Like, it was so much that they had to go through. Now, I know a lot of people was like, but it's Florida, bro. They should already expect it. True, but it's still devastating, fam. Still devastating to have to go through.
Or have to repeatedly deal with flooded basements. NOAA is committed to working with coastal communities to provide the information and tools they need, and will guide them how to deal with high tide flooding, both now and in the coming years as sea levels continue to rise. NOAA's water level records highlight regions of particular concern in Texas and Florida, with records also broken along the coast of South Carolina and Georgia. From May 2020 to April 2021, Galveston, Texas, Corpus Christi, Texas, and Bay Waveland, Mississippi set a record of more than 20 days of high tide flooding.
Wow.
These locations would typically only flood 2 to 3 days each year. Louisiana, Texas, and Panama Beach, Florida all saw between 10 and 20 days of flooding.
Wow.
In 2000, these locations typically saw between 0 to 2 days of high tide flooding. According to NOAA, it's projected that high tide flooding around the American coastlines this year will surpass typical levels of flooding, and this is by around 60%. This has scientists worried, as it was initially thought it wouldn't be as high as this. Within the next 30 years, it's estimated that around 300,000 homes in the country, with a combined value of 117 billion, are likely to be at risk of chronic flooding. So
where's all the people gonna go? Like, it's crowded in a lot. Atlanta's super crowded right now. You know what I mean? Like, it's crowded. You talking about pushing more people inward? Oh, this could get crazy.
what do you make of this recent announcement? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below, and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries.
Man.
Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.
I would definitely start preparing. You know what I mean? And I'm not just talking about, oh, okay, storing up things, having a exit strategy, where you're gonna go, stuff like that. Also putting funds away. Have you ever experienced being put out of work for a long period of time? Especially if you got responsibilities, you got kids, you got family, you got this one to take care of. Are you prepared for a catastrophic event to happen? I know we talk about different things, but we never really dive down that lane and say, okay, what's your plan if something happens? Myself included, bro. I got to do better at that. You know what I mean? What's your course of action if these floods and you live on the coast and they start pushing inward and you're unable to go to work every day? You're out of work. You've run out of sick time. You've run out of vacation time. And you're not afforded the luxury to be able to work from home. You know, those work from home jobs that people try to downplay start to sound a little bit better now when you think of, in the event of things like this happening. Not to saying that it don't have its hiccups as well, but I'm just saying, at least you have an opportunity. Think about that, man. Because you could very well easily be uprooted and have to change up your whole life in a blink of an eye. So y'all get at me in the comment section, man, and let me know what you thought about this video. Were you even thinking about this? And if not, then this being put on your radar today may have been for a reason. Just thought. It's your boy L, man. Y'all stick around and stay tuned. Till next one, I'm gone. Peace.